converts to Christianity from Islam that have paved the way for those who want to investigate the differences and make a measured, educated decision as to the credibility of both. That would be the best, but that is their choice. Most converts know more about Christianity and its merits than most original Christians because of the depth of research they have done, and many who call themselves Christians don't know its fundamental principles. This is the mark of the beast, and it is an image of a snake. Something God repeatedly warned us about. Satan cannot come up with an original thought. He can only corrupt. Numbers 21:9 had Moses going around with a snake on a pole, and everyone who looked on it would be healed. Not that they should worship it, but that looking alone would heal them. This story never made sense to me until I realized reading Revelation that this set the stage for Satan to corrupt the symbol and expose him later. If you look at the symbol, it shows Satan's way of looking at things, telling you you should believe that you should bend round and round, be sick and twisted, and you will go to heaven, but you will go to his hell. This sign is the shape of a snake, something used repeatedly to describe Satan. This sign has been used repeatedly in marketing. It is written that people receive the mark of the beast in your right hand and in your forehead. This means to use your right hand, or more specifically your strength, to do evil and sick and twisted things, and in your forehead to think of doing evil, sick and twisted things. Thinking and doing evil things consumes the whole body and spirit. This is what it means to worship the mark of the beast. Satan has all forms of enticement, and when you steal something or get it by immoral means, it just about always leads to an immediate financial gain. Doctors who cannot cut it in the real world of medicine make huge sums of money killing God's creations. Businesses dump toxic waste unlawfully and with willful negligence to escape huge proper storage costs. Corporations cook the books to show false profits, while the officers get huge salaries and kickbacks. Police are paid to look the other way. Government officials corrupt the finances and take tax money to pay for abortions. Unsafe and reliable things are marketed every day. Slacking off at work or not working productively, even not putting in the required hours. As an employer, not paying compensatory pay or agreed upon price for labor performed. Falsifying insurance claims, selling drugs, marketing pornography, unjustifiably going to war to acquire natural resources, looting goods, gouging on government contracts, false accusations resulting in gaining credit from someone else's work. There are numerous ways to gain immorally. Satan wants to kill you, that is, to lose your eternal soul. Once you give in to an immoral act, it becomes easier and easier, and your conscience becomes seared. It is incredibly easy to rationalize and justify immoral activity. It is easy to stare at Satan in the face and say, "I want nothing to do with you." But it is easy to become corrupted over time by tiny pieces. Satan wants to kill you if you do not worship the mark of the beast, which is an idol of himself. Worshipping the mark of the beast and worshipping Satan himself is the same thing. If you don't worship him, that is to sin grievously, Satan will unrelentingly hate you. To cause all who refuse to worship the image to be killed can be done on many levels. If you are a policeman who just got with a new crew and everyone else is getting paid off by drug dealers, and you don't go along with them and are going to turn them in, you could easily end up dead on the job by the conspirators. There are other ways you can be fatally wounded for not going along with the crowd, but another way to be killed could mean to cause to be reduced to insignificance. In a job setting, being passed over for promotion and being left at a minimal position and barely making ends meet. To have your work sabotaged, vandalized, stolen. If you are loyal to God, Satan will do everything in his ability to destroy you by any means. People will not adhere to commitments, promises, break contracts by false statements, or falsifying documents, innuendo, conspiracy with other contractors and businesses. How many times have whistleblowers been terminated and found reemployment almost impossible, even though their actions were justified and warranted, even saving others' lives? The coercion to remain silent is strong, but is of the devil. In the last days it is said that weak-willed women will easily be led astray. There are many that have disgraced themselves and are seduced by sick and twisted males and other divorced females seeking a feeling of kinship that will sabotage their marriages and commit adultery and fornication. Divorce lawyers will profit themselves in their deranged pursuit of your equity. Your children will be taken away and your rights stamped into nothingness. Harnessed with payments to people who betray you, commit lewd acts, and are considered normal, demonstrating Satan's power today. This is slavery to depraved maniacs. They will lie to no end and conspire with others, giving no thought to their eternal soul. Illegitimate clergy condone their behavior and say God forgives everything. There are some who have said for years that this will be some form of electronic chip or card requirement or number assigned, but that doesn't hold water. We already have numbers assigned to us, Social Security, license, and others, and this would be worldwide. It was looked into many years ago that at least 6 different monetary units would be required to maintain a world economy. That is, to maintain an established way to trade. If you had fewer currencies, global economics would eventually collapse. One would get too strong and the other units would be subject to radical fluctuations in value and would cease to become viable. With this happening, the whole economy would be filled with huge fluctuations and everything would destabilize. If the world economy requires this much sophistication, then no computerized monetary system could ever come into being. It also doesn't fulfill the requirement of the image being worshipped, that is, to worship some assigned number. While there are many scriptural references that call Satan a serpent and describe worshiping him as bending round and round and being sick and twisted, many describe worshiping God as following the straight and narrow and to make his path straight. This may sound old school, and if it was this simple, why didn't anyone think of it before? It is because we have lapsed and didn't keep cognizant of our responsibilities. That we delegated this responsibility to people totally inadequate to the cause. If you look at an ISIS flag, you will see it has the mark of the beast incorporated into it. The bottom figure is of a coiled snake with its head looking up. It could be considered beginning with a split tongue right there. And the bottom line could be read as lying snake. It is pure Islam to lie for the sake of Allah. ISIS is pure fundamental Islam, and they advertise that its foundation is a lying snake. We have all had to re-examine our core fundamental beliefs as to ascertain their validity, but that leads to a deeper, more conscious understanding of truth. There is a lot of information on the Constitution and the thoughts of the Founding Fathers. Almost unbelievable how far it has been twisted into meaninglessness. Most politicians don't know what it means. Hypocrisy is rampant and unchecked. I need go into what corruption of his established principles has led to. First, let's look at what true Christianity is. In the beginning, God created the universe. The earth became void and without form. Science has proved that a 10th planet smashed into the earth and its remnant created the moon. Through the process, the earth became without form. God created Adam and Eve. DNA only goes back so far to a single male and female. They ate a piece of forbidden fruit and brought sin into the world. Sin and evil was so bad, God created a flood. DNA shows a common male ancestor later in history than a common female ancestry, proving through DNA the flood account. God let the people out of Egypt and handed down laws. We have a mountain in Saudi Arabia, Jabal el-Lawz, where the top is scorched black from God's presence. A split rock 60 feet tall that shows water erosion from water springing up from underneath it. We've got the Shroud of Turin that has radiation markers on it from Christ entering back into his body. All this from a book that has never been proven wrong, and more proof of accuracy comes in faster than it can be written down. So what are we going to do now? The first step in living in times where stupidity reigns and when you can't trust anyone is to become someone who is trustworthy. This can only be done from a well-studied and thought-through process, yet some is instinctual. A realization that there is no established governing body to become part of must be overcome. There were ways to set it straight before the governing body, but they are being blocked and ignored. A strategy borrowed and expanded upon of the Tea Party movement of we're going to take our country back. Take it back, one town, one city, one township, one county, one parish, one state at a time. You cannot let other people's limitations and inabilities become your own. That is death, and you must get the plank out of your own eye first. We can ban Islam at the state level. Others have gone before us from militias and are fighting ISIS already. Obama is dismissing armed forces personnel that don't agree with his deranged policies. While on the face of it that may seem bad, but on the other side of it, that makes them available to join us. Police aren't being allowed to do their job and are put in situations that endanger their eternal soul by protecting abortion facilities. No one has the right to endanger another's eternal soul. If they want to bring their skills or if they want to seek life in another profession, we can provide that. This leads to how are we going to pay for all this? That's simple. Rare earth refining and product development. This is a $7 trillion a year worldwide market, and only a partial share of that goes a long way. Another is building thorium nuclear reactors. They are walk-away safe, and 5 years of testing at Oak Ridge proves their viability. The only drawback at the time of development was they don't produce weapons-grade materials. Who cares? Their efficiency and safe operating makes recycling feasible without subsidies. This seems like a tall order, but if done right in the private sector, provides security for investments. The first thing that needs to be done is to establish an ethics code for those working in this new field. Without an established code of conduct and strict adherence to it, you're going to get bogged down in the quagmire that is society today. Back to the basics of fundamental Christianity, everyone on the same page simplifies everything. We need a class taught on ethics done at the college level to keep current with building the businesses that will spring up from product development of rare earth metals. There are jobs in building the facilities for this industry, jobs in building the equipment that goes into the factories, jobs organizing layout of the factories and placement of machinery, computer programmers to write programs of equipment, software writers to write code, product developers to design the marketable better mousetrap, and chemists and metallurgists to coordinate a process of manufacturability, engineers to do product evaluation and enhancement, shipping and receiving personnel, accountants to manage the finances, investment banks, and personnel to balance risk assessment and productivity, intellectual property lawyers to protect the copyrightable infringement. To get started, we need three things: enough capital to build refining equipment, college classes on all levels of this industry, college classes on ethics. Next, we will need a Department of Energy put together at the state level. This is because China is enjoying a monopoly in this industry caused by Reagan listing thorium as a source material, which it is not, and putting forth legislation to not adhere to UN guidelines regarding thorium. We will use it to run thorium nuclear reactors, and the balance can be made into building ships and barges and bridge anchorages, to name a few of its uses. China continues its monopoly by paying off our politicians, and they won't rewrite UN guidelines. All of our military communications hardware is built in China, so an EMP pulse would leave us without ability to do anything until China decided it was in their best interest to sell us new products on more borrowed credit. Quite a predicament to be in, but this is what happens when you let other people's limitations and inabilities become your own. At $7 trillion a year worldwide market, and U.S. used to being a major developer in world markets, it doesn't take long to see that our politicians have cost us more money than the national debt. We can all be filled with indignation at their stupidity, or we can move forward without them. If we have a state secede from the Union, we will be able to have a place where sanity reigns. That, and it will be a more profitable place to live. No more UN Agenda 21 and its offspring Common Core. Ban Islam and be free of all encumbrances to forward progress. That, and it will end all Muslim refugees from being resettled in your area. If you are a Christian, then you realize we have 1,000 years left on this planet. That being the case, we can make long-term plans for it. We're going to have to be creative in financing this venture. One way is to have suppliers exchange supplies for stock in the company. Another is sweat equity from employees transferred into stock. Another is to have insurance companies and pension funds invest so as to give their portfolio a positive future. Another is to have your children do startup companies while still in school. They can do their research and product development while in school, as facilities to do so are available. You invest in their company and it will bleed red ink while they are in development stage, thus becoming a write-off for tax reasons, starving the federal government out of existence. Then later, as sales increase, will produce dividends. There are many ways to shoe this horse. Japan would finance this whole venture, but I would like to retain this for ourselves, because if we only produce a portion of products and have to compete with another player on the world market, our share would decrease. Who is going to get these jobs? That's simple. If the boss comes in and tells two people they are up for promotion as someone's spot will be opening up, and one goes to a secretary and says, "This will be a huge step up for both of us. We will do the work we are already doing, and we'll do the work of the new job, and it will benefit us both." So they work hard and pull it off. The other man invites the boss out for dinner, buys him gifts, and compliments him repeatedly. Who gets the job? As far as a state to secede from the Union, the best first one is Louisiana. It is located in the best spot and is equipped for international trade. We can barge down ore and refine it at a port in Baton Rouge or close by. It is inland enough to be protected from hurricane and deep enough to offload ocean-going vessels to receive ore from other countries. We will start with rail or barge from ports above river, but then as states may secede and start their own refining businesses, we can still receive ore from coastal states and other countries to remain operational. I know some will say we need to put up barricades at borders, but the neighbor states will say, wait a minute, we want to join you, and before any of this will be necessary, they will join United States 2.0. When it becomes more advantageous to their constituents, it is a matter of political survival. We'll need a trucking organization if they try to stop us to blockade Washington, D.C.